कोई सड़क छाप गुंडा मत समझ सिंघम। वो आपका तूफान है।
ये कलयुग है, अपनी कलयुग। इस बार रावण जीतेगा। तेरी रामायण का रावण हूं मैं।
So Arjun, now it goes without saying that your career has been one that has been through a remarkable roller coaster journey with some great highs and some lows. But it's been over a decade since you've been an active leading actor, and you find yourself in this position where it's almost like a new launch. You got a new start you have with Singham again, where a 2.0 version has come out, and that has literally kind of taken off like wildfire. So first of all, what mental state are you in? How are you dealing with this?
Well, yeah, of course, it's been a while now. I've been working as an actor, so I guess you become numb to certain aspects of the profession because it becomes something that's part and parcel of your everyday life. But at the same time, you work for recognition, you work for the love of the audience, and you also look forward to doing good work. So I think with Singham, again, what happened is at a time in my life where I perhaps needed to reinvent myself or recalibrate the way I was going about my choices. I got this opportunity to really experiment and put myself out there in a new space and take this chance because Rohit Shetty believed in me. So I think starting off only just doing this film in itself felt like, okay, this has the potential to perhaps reconnect with the audience if I get it right and kind of enjoy myself as an actor going ahead in the future by doing various roles if I pull this off. And the film doing well and the character panning out and people loving Danger Lanka so much has allowed me to obviously believe that, yeah, this chance that I took, this risk that I took, this thought process that I changed made complete sense. Of course, when you see your highs and lows, you also take a step back and assess what you can do better, what you can learn out of that. And I think it's good to see that when I've learned something and I've reacted to it and tried to do something different and tried to reconnect with the audience, it has worked. So I'm just very, very happy and excited about this new phase in my career where people hopefully enjoy watching me in all sorts of roles, along with doing the mainstream stuff, of course, along with being the quintessential boy or man or whatever you call it on the big screen. It's also about presenting yourself to the audience as somebody who's willing to play different roles in various characters.
Absolutely. Now speaking about Singham again. So first of all, I'm just curious to know if the same role in the same film was offered to the Arjun Kapoor of 2014. How would you have then processed it versus how was it different now after the journey you've been through?
I mean, 2014, I had just been launched and I was doing Gunde, Two States, Binding Fanny, Tevar and Aurangzeb, so it was a different phase in my life. I don't think I would have been the right choice. I don't think I had the physicality of being a man in that sense. I was still a young boy coming into my own on screen. I'm not talking about off screen, I'm talking about on screen. So I don't know if Rohit Shetty would have offered me the same kind of role, the same role. It might have been a different kind of role. But of course, if Rohit Shetty came to me in 2014 also, I would definitely want to be part of his film. And I would only hope that it was written in accordance with me being that age at that point of time.
Right. Perfect. So also now in this case, since you are entering the film, which is the third installment in a how would you approach change versus like had this been a standalone film and this was the first Singham film versus the third film, so now you have reference points, you have more pressure perhaps. So did that shape your approach at all?
To be fair, I've been a fan of the franchise and Rohit Shetty's vision where he's taken this entire world, whether it's the Singham films, whether it's Suryavanshi or Simba. So I don't think there's pressure. I think it was exciting. I never looked at it like pressure because he knows what he's doing. I just have to come and deliver what he wanted. So I was quite excited about it. I never looked at it as a reference, but as my character as a reference point for the rest of the universe, because he was a completely different, unhinged character. If you look at the other villains in his earlier films, they all had different agendas. Mine was coming from a very, very connected place to the earlier film. They were all more standalone. Mine had a continuation, and also I think when you look at references from the earlier films, you kind of get bogged down. I just try to play him like a guy who's straightforward, going for his revenge. I didn't think so much about the franchise while performing the character. because they know what they're doing here. I mean, Ajay sir, Rohit sir, they're experienced enough to know what they're pitching for. I just wanted to do my work with honesty and have a clear picture in my head about how to play Zubair, or Danger Lanka as everybody calls him.
Now, about Zubair, now of course, the one thing here is that you're not only playing Zubair, you're metaphorically also playing Ravan, right?
Correct.
Now, has to come with a lot of responsibility and a lot of, would that in any way change how you approach the role if this was just a Zubair who was not Ravan versus the Zubair he is as we know?
But I played him as Zubair Hafiz or Danger Lanka, as you call it, without the baggage of Ravan, because the Ravan interpretation comes from the telling of the story, the narrative. He's pretty straightforward, his agenda, his intent. So if I got too caught up in the mythology or in the storytelling or in that beyond the point, I mean, it's one thing to understand and a metaphor of it and respect it, and of course keep it at the back of your mind. But when you show up on set, you can't be roaming around ki main Ravan hu. It doesn't work. You have to play the character. You have to play him like a human being. What he believes in, what he stands for, and what the choices he's making, these actions that he's doing, they come from a very planned place. This is his revenge, So I didn't really get bogged down by that. Like I said in the earlier answer also here, the thinking was more about playing him for his emotion, performing more from the thought of Singham and co might have forgotten what transpired, but this boy remembers, and he's grown up to be a man with only one agenda in mind, as that is to get his vengeance. So it was a pretty straight emotional arc for me to get into. If I'd got into Ravan too much, then of course you get into a lot of ideologies, a lot of conversations that perhaps would take away from me playing it like a human. Then you get caught up into all those things. I wanted him to be as personal as possible in that sense, his take.
Every iconic villain, on a slightly lighter note, has that one devilish laugh. Right? Again, from Gabbar Singh to Heath Ledger's Joker, the evil laugh is almost a signature of the villain. For you, the poster of this film.
So my first film, actually, my smile had got a lot of reaction, and I never really used it. I never thought about it so much. And then when I was doing the look test with Rohit sir, he really liked that smile. And that image that he put out, he really liked it. And we kind of retained it, and then he started using it when he felt necessary, and I started giving him options and variations when we were shooting, and he kind of then grafted in the film where he's used it at the right opportunities to get the right reaction, and that same smile without that beard and hair and that entire garb and the situation is a regular person smile. I mean, that's me. But if you put it in context, it kind of changes and becomes that evil, sinister laughter. Obviously, we created that toothy grin to begin with only, so you're used to seeing this man smile with the teeth visible, with that absolute animalistic, voyeuristic pleasure that he gets out of violence. So you set base with the first sequence. But yeah, I think, I don't know about anything else. I just know it worked for the character, and I think Rohit sir saw it in the photo shoot only, in the look test only, and he kind of kept it in mind, and then we used it at the right opportunity. So I'm glad that it's connected so much with people.
In this case, the transformation is not just mental or in terms of your approach, it's also physical, right? So with the beard and with the body. So purely in terms of training, what was your regimen like? What did you do to be?
Yes, at that point in time when he met me, he said, I want the shoulders, I want the size, I want the structure, I want you to feel like you can fill out the screen, and the menace, the way he styled the costumes and all also was in his mind. And we went through iterations of the styling, but he always was very, very clear that he wanted to play to my strengths. So being this broad-shouldered, larger-than-life persona that he wanted to present on screen from the introduction onwards, because he wanted me to look like I can kill people at the drop of a hat. So I continued to, I did a lot more weight training for this film. I make sure I kept the size on my shoulders, and I made sure that I built that frame, because there's only one costume in the whole film, but you got to look like you can take on anybody that comes your way. So I think that was the main thing. Of course, it's also on set, the way you carry yourself in a shot also, there's a lot of physicality that comes on. So you have to keep that in mind when you're shooting for such a big film. You got to come physically in your most aggressive state of mind, so you can pull it off. I think that it's one thing to look a certain way, it's one thing for it to translate on screen. So I think I'm very, very happy that Rohit sir shot me in a particular way where I was able to play to the gallery with the physicality of the role, And that comes from the introduction sequence itself. Just me getting off the jeep and walking a certain way with that shawl burning, with me entering, with the way I use the koita to kill people, the way I walk when I'm walking towards that guy smiling with the koita in my mouth. There's a certain physicality that came from playing the character, you know. So it's one thing to train and look a certain way when you feel when you're wearing the outfit. It's also the beard, hair, all that just added value to that physicality that perhaps he had told me to maintain. So I think it's a combination of the way he shot me and I guess my inherent physicality that's always been a bit more easier for me to play the action, intense, brooding guy any which ways from the early phase of my career.
Enough about the character itself. So much has been said about it. So much has been written about it, and given us a few hints about a possible backstory and a prequel to this. You have to give us a bit insight about it.
It's not that I've given it. I think I've been asked this question repeatedly, and I've always said if Rohit sir wants to revisit Danger Lanka, Zubair, if he wants to revisit, if he wants to tell the story that created this character, I'm never going to say no to it. But that's just come from a lot of people asking me. It's not actually come from me hinting something because Rohit sir and me have spoken about it, to be fair. It's come more from the dialogue and conversation with the media and the audience reaction to the character. So yeah, you never know. Like I always say, you never know, but you can count me in because I trust Rohit sir implicitly when it comes to being able to do justice to Danger Lanka once again, even if it means it's an origin story, for example.
Indeed. So now also apart from this, now it's been a while since, a few weeks at least since the film is released, and it almost feels like you're still soaking in the responses you're getting. But first of all, a very broad question, how do you actually unpack the response, not just the film, but you specifically have been getting for this film from the public? How do you understand that?
So you soak it in. I think I waited a long time respectfully and patiently for the response to be loved and appreciated. And I think because I made my debut with so much love and so much of reaction, somewhere I just want to rekindle that feeling, and I'm just happy about that. So I've literally just been taking it one day at a time, meeting people, interacting, whether it's interviews, whether it's the regular person who sees me or calls me by the character's name. Just hearing good things. I mean, you want to feel validated. So I'm really enjoying this phase where there is a positivity, there's an energy, there's an excitement, and there's genuine love. Apart from that, of course, you take some time off for yourself to also calm yourself down and not jump the gun and start believing this has changed everything 100%. You still have to work hard on the next opportunities. You have to pick your opportunities responsibly. So I'm now, I guess, in that phase where resting on your laurels is not enough. You got to also keep in mind that you've got this opportunity and love from people. You got to build on it correctly. So yeah, at this point in time, I'm just soaking it in, but also very aware of the fact that I should enjoy this phase and make choices that maintain and build on what this love is.
This actually was the first thing I wanted to ask you today. Now, this is by no means a direct comparison, but just in terms of a reference point, when Pathaan came out, Shah Rukh Khan was coming to the big screen after a fairly lengthy gap. And in that gap, he had gone through a lot of strife personally with a lot of issues, right? And then it emerged as this massive, massive success. But apart from it just being a normal film with a normal super hit status, there was this almost unspoken, unsaid feeling of people almost telling him that we know that what has happened is not fair and we stand by you. That feeling was there for everyone to experience that. Now, in your case, the gap between your last film and this has not been as large, but given how your career has progressed, are you getting the feeling at all that in some level there's an unspoken feeling that we know that you've been through a lot, we know that you've faced a lot of trolling issues, but you deserve this?
There for me over the last few years, I've always believed that there is love out there. It's about people who want to cheer for me, who want to support me, who are my well-wishers. And I'm talking about the paying audience at this point, along with the industry and the media. The paying audience has also wanted to cheer for me and wanted to be excited for me. And perhaps the surge of goodwill and the excitement of Danger Lanka panning out and people loving it comes from good prevailing over evil. In that sense, if it makes sense That's what I was talking about. Eventually, there are enough good people and there's enough goodness in this world where they are backing you. You need to, with your actions, be able to allow them to speak about it or celebrate it. And I think the last couple of years have been rather difficult for me. Not only the last couple, maybe the last 5 years have been difficult for me, where I've taken things in my stride and never doubted the feedback or the criticism. Also, I've worked on myself, but kept trying to whatever degree I can humanly. So it feels really nice when something good happens and there's an extra surge of happiness that comes from certain sections of society, audience, media, and the fraternity. It does feel like if you keep doing your work, if you're a good person and if you keep your head down and you believe in yourself, there is a payoff where the people that have believed in you, loved you, supported you, who cared about you and paid money for you feel the need to speak out loud and celebrate with you and celebrate you. So yes, I agree that there is a surge of goodwill and energy that has come from Danger Lanka panning out. And I think that's something that I've earned over the course of these 10, 12 years, even through the bad phase, not only the good phase.
Apart from the fact that you were working with Rohit Shetty for the first time and this huge cast, you were also reunited with Ranveer Singh. So now that was, at one point, you two were literally you were covered more and talked about more and liked more than perhaps most actual real life couples.
Yeah, I think I got to work. So I got to work with Kareena again also, which was amazing. I got to work with Jaggu Dada again. That was amazing. So a couple of old equations rekindled. Of course, Bebo remains a friend and I'm obsessed with Jaggu Dada. But yeah, I think for people who have seen my body of work or Ranveer's body of work, it's always been something that has excited people when we collaborate together off screen, on screen, whether we've done shows together or films together. I think it's always got some kind of feedback and positive feedback, and there's always been overflowing love. So me and Ranveer had always wanted to do more work together, and the way it transpired is we always spoke about doing a Rohit Shetty film together. And as luck would have it, my first day of shooting was with Ranveer. So the scene that me and him shot is my first day of shooting. So it was an emotional yet fun experience. And when we did the climax also, we were together. We were sharing rooms across, as in we were on the same floor, living next to each other. So just getting along, hanging out in the outdoor also was reminiscent of perhaps where we started our careers together, and see what the camaraderie has been over the last 10, 12 years. So I was very, very happy working with him. I've always enjoyed working with him as a fellow actor because he brings so much value on set. To watch him play Simba was great fun, and I think instead of playing friends with him to play the arch nemesis also was a new experience which I really enjoyed. It was great fun.
Perfect. So Arjun, again, thank you so much for your time today and for doing this on such short notice.
Thank you, Ian.